Looking for an epic charter fishing experience that goes beyond the boat? Want to add in world-class food, festivals, or even football? Come explore everything Louisiana has to offer with a charter fishing trip led by one of Louisiana's top captains. From inshore redfish and speckled trout to offshore tuna and red snapper, from saltwater swordfish to freshwater sac-a-lait. With fishing destinations less than 45 minutes from the airport, Louisiana has something spectacular to offer every fisherman. Go catching with Louisiana's best captains today by planning your next adventure at louisianacharterfishing.com. That's louisianacharterfishing.com.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for today's modern hunter. Vineyard Max, deer attractants created for the aroma of success, game feeders, and other hunting products. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. And the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, home of some of the finest hunting in North America. Now, here's Larry.
Welcome to another episode of TSC's Campfires. It's been an interesting fall thus far. We've had a lot of warm weather, and particularly here in Texas, almost hot. Tried to hunt several days and did hunt. Well, the temperatures were up around 85 to 90 degrees. Now, normally that doesn't really affect a whole lot of things if it were summertime. However, we're into the fall, and you expect weather to be somewhere at least in the 60s or 70s in the areas that I hunt. Does it affect the movement of the deer? Yeah, it does when it get right down to it. We're approaching the rut in some areas where our deer are already in rut and have been a little bit for, maybe for a week or two or 10 days. This is being recorded kind of in the middle to the latter part of November. It's like this, let's look at the fact that it is winter time and you're wearing every bit of clothing that you have. You've got long underwear on, you've got all kinds of wool clothing or some of the new synthetic type stuff, and you're wearing a coat that's made for really cold weather. And you're wanting to be active, but at the same time you step outside and guess what? It's 80 to 90 degrees. How active are you going to be when you're wearing all those clothes? Well, it's kind of the same way. These deer, they're prepared for really cool weather at the winter time as we normally have it. And guess what? Then it doesn't happen. So what do? Well, they probably move a little bit. And then when it gets dark and the temperatures drop a little bit, well, guess what? That's probably when they're moving right now. And if you look at some of the trail camera photos, it kind of bears it out when you get right down to it. Deer hunting is an evolving thing, and where our weather patterns change and our weather seems to be a little bit on the weird side. Is it global warming? I don't know if there's such a real thing as global warming, but there's continual change as far as the weather is concerned, and we just need to be aware of those kind of things and adapt to them. Hunt early in the morning, hunt late in the afternoon. That's when they say deer have a tendency to move based on all the research that they've done lately. And one of these days I want to come back to that because I spent a lot of years. I've hunted nearly 70 years. And during those years, as a professional wildlife biologist, I also was an observer, and I kept records. And interestingly, some of the research that's coming up now that the deer only really move during the early morning, late in the evening, don't pay any attention to the moon. Well, I'm not sure that that's really the way it is when you get right down to it, at least not in some of the areas where I've been. So I want to get back to that one of these days, but thought this morning we'd just kind of talk a little bit, or today, whatever time you listen to this. I've got some questions that have been presented to me, and I want to get those talked about, and then I'm going to get ready to go deer hunting here in just a little bit once we get the podcast completed. I had an email from Joe from up in Pennsylvania that said, Larry, you've always hunted a lot with a handgun, and then I noticed for a while you didn't hunt that much with a handgun. But again, now we're starting to see things on Facebook and reading things about where you've gone back to hunting with a handgun. What's the deal there? Well, Joe, I appreciate the fact that you noticed that years ago I spent a lot of time hunting with a handgun, did a lot of things with a Thompson Center Contender initially, and then some of the revolvers at the same time, the Ruger Blackhawks way back then. Then gravitated to the Encore, which was kind of an updated version of the Contender. And back in about 1995 or thereabouts, we introduced the Encore in a variety of sharp-shouldered cartridges, everything from a 30-06 to 308 to 270 to 243 to, there were a great number of rounds available in those barrels. And from what I understand, with Thompson Center coming back, hopefully some of those will be back out again, and they'll pay a lot of attention to the quality of the barrels that they put out, like TC did way back when. But those guns were extremely accurate. I used to get tickled because first things I shot back off a little bit was with a 308. It was the first one made. I shot the first critter shot with that handgun, one being a moose in Maine, and I had also drawn a moose permit that year in Colorado, and so I shot a moose in Colorado, a Shires moose with a 308 Encore, which we named, or was named the 2 days before we went to press with Shooting Times, where I had the story written, and we're waiting to just get a name before the thing went to press. But then it also ended up shooting a really nice 6x6 bull elk, also in Colorado. But then after that, I had to send the gun back, and I talked to Ken French, and he goes, oh my gosh, he said, you need to send it back, Larry. We don't even have the specs off of this one before we can restart reproducing or trying to produce this gun. So ended up doing so, and they sent me a 30-06, one of the first guns that came off the assembly line. And my gosh, I shot so many things with that over the years. And during the years, too, when I was on staff with Shooting Times, I served as a hunting editor, but also we had another publication with Shooting Times at the time called Handgunning. Well, I was the hunting editor there as well, too, and as a result, got to shoot with all kinds of different guns, including one called the Taurus Raging Bull, which was produced by Taurus, a revolver, shot very, very nicely, shot some whitetail deer with it. Then for a long time, too, I shot a lot of Ruger things. I did a lot of work with Ruger, and absolutely loved and still love some of their handguns, particularly their Ruger Blackhawk Hunter version, if you will. And it's a 44 mag. My gosh, I shot everything from elk on down with it. But now I've gone back and had the opportunity to spend some time with the guys from Taurus up on Tim Fallon's FTW ranch, where they do the sportsman's all-terrain, marksmanship course, and had a chance to shoot some of those guns, was impressed, and ended up doing some work with them in terms of trying to promote their guns. And I've now shoot their Raging Hunter, which is an updated version of the Raging Bull of many years ago. I've shot a fair amount of things here as of late with both the 44 mag and the 454 Casull. I've also got a 357 in it, and then also a 460. Now, the beauty of those guns is they're extremely accurate. I'm truly, truly impressed how accurately they shoot a great variety of ammo. I love the fact, too, that they have the an integral muzzle brake, if you will, and that really makes that handgun, if you will, a whole lot sweeter to shoot. They've got a system or a particular type of grip as well, too, that helps absorb some of the recoil. And then they've got the integral Picatinny type rail, which makes it really easy to mount a red dot scope on. And also, as far as I like to occasionally also shoot one that has a traditional long eye relief scope. Now, those are the guns that I'm shooting right now, and I'll tell you that the both the 44 mag and the 454 Casull just absolutely love Hornady's custom 240 grain XTP loads. These things at 50 yards, putting them in the same hole essentially, just kind of wallowing out that hole, even if it's a 5-shot or as the 454 Casull or the 6-shot, which is a 44 mag. It's amazing how accurate they are at 50 yards. And then I've backed off at 100 yards, and at 100 yards, I'm shooting with those particular guns, those loads, with both a red dot and a the traditional long eye relief scope. I'm shooting 1.5 groups, 2-inch groups, and that's just almost unheard of as far as I'm concerned. Now, in terms of optics on the guns, I like the red dot sights because they're very quick as far as target acquisition is concerned. But to me, you're dealing with a large dot that covers a large area. Now, I've been shooting the Stealth Vision 3 MOA red dot sight, and that means essentially that 100 yards, that dot covers 3 inches. So still fairly precise, but maybe not as precise as what is the one of the long eye relief scopes. Where that really comes into play is some of the long-range shooting that I've been doing lately. Now, notice I said long-range shooting, not long-range hunting. I spent a lot of time on the Cotton Ranch, which is out east of Dallas, and there we have a 500-yard, 18-inch gong at 500 yards. And I got to plan one day with, with both the 44 mag and the 454 Casull, and kind of started estimating, well, it ought to be about a 20-foot drop, or it ought to be 24 or 18 or whatever it was at 500 yards, based on the load that I was shooting. And lo and behold, I started shooting that 500-yard gong to where, at least if I was shooting 5 shots in the 454 Casull, I was hitting it 3 to 4 times out of those shots. That was with actually even a red dot sight on it. I was using that 3 MOA, knowing that at 500 yards, it was essentially as big as that target, and so I could use those in terms of multiples of doing holdovers. Now, for years, I shot a lot of scopes, long eye relief scopes, and I still get a lot of questions about, well, what's the best long eye relief scope that's out there? And quite frankly, I've used a lot of the scopes that are there or were on the market. My choice in the whole matter of everything, of shooting these days, really comes down to the old 2.5 by 7 scopes. Excuse me, there's all kinds of things floating around in the air here. The 2.5 to 7 long eye relief scopes made by both Simmons and, actually they were made by Light Optical many, many years ago. They're the vintage scopes that to me go back to the past century, if you will. And if you can find those, I think you're so much better off. Grab a sip of coffee there. Hopefully you're doing some of the same. And those scopes are tough. They're rugged. And their internal adjustments work really, really well. And so most of my scopes that I have on my handguns, and includes some of the Thompson Center guns that I have, some of the Ruger guns that I have, and of course the Taurus that I'm shooting now, they do have scopes that are probably, in most instances, at least 25 to almost at least 25 years old. Let's just put it like that. And they still work like an absolute charm. They've got the best eye relief of any of the scopes that are out there. And eye relief can be critical when you're shooting handguns. And to me, that's one of the things where you do shine a little bit more with the red dot scopes, red dot sights rather, because you can shoot that thing fairly close to your face if your eyes, if you want to call it that, are a long way out there. But those long eye relief scopes, such as those by the old Simmons and Thompson Center scopes, really are some of the very best. Now, in the background, if you're hearing, it is still very warm in November here in Texas, and you'll hear my air conditioner come on periodically here while I'm sitting in the office, doing some last-minute deals, trying to get ready to go on my next hunting trip. So if you're going to get into handgun hunting, I would certainly suggest that you take a serious look at the Taurus Raging Hunter in a 44 mag or a 454 Casull or even a 460. Now, the advantage of the 460 is that you can shoot a 454 and in that particular gun as well too, and with the so it's a really nice, you can tone it down quite a bit if you want to as well. But with that integral recoil system and those grips that they have on there, shooting even the 460 is not uncomfortable. Now the 44 mag and the 454, I tell you what, they're an absolute blast to shoot. And you can also, of course, use old 44 Special in the 44 mag as well too. So, and with the 454 Casull, you can use the 45 long Colt. Now that's the beauty of the 460 as well too, because you can use that in there too if you really want to spend a lot of time shooting and you're a little bit recoil conscious. Of course, you always want to wear hearing protection whenever you shoot those handguns, because that porting system makes them even a little bit louder. But I would take a serious look at both the 454 Casull and the 460, because I'll tell you what, the 460, if you ever want to do any elk hunting, or the 454 Casull, or might want to shoot something much larger than a whitetail deer, those are really great rounds to use. The 454 Casull, I used it many years ago in a Freedom Arms gun to take my first Alaskan brown bear, and then shot a bunch of whitetail and everything else with it over the years since then. But those are three guns you need to take a serious look at and spend a lot of time on the range, learn the capabilities of that particular gun that you have with whatever loads you shoot. But I can certainly suggest that if you're shooting a 454 Casull or a 44 mag, that you really need to take a real serious look at the 240 grain XTP custom loads. I've shot those in numerous handguns, and they've always proven accurate. And also, they take animals. The largest elk I've ever taken, which was would have made Boone and Crockett. Unfortunately, the antlers were lost by a taxidermist years ago up in Colorado. But that was a big 6x6, huge body that I shot with a 44 mag using the 240 grain XTP, and put 3 bullets into him, and that elk didn't move more than about 2 steps and before he went down. So great capabilities there. Learn the capabilities, as I said, of the guns, and also what you're capable of with that particular gun. Learn how to shoot off of a good rest, and to me, that's always a good deal. I always look for a rest. I use a variety of commercial rests, but also looking for natural rests all the time as well too. So thank you very much, Joe, for your question. I hope that I've talked around in circles there a whole lot. If you've got some specific questions you want to ask about particular loads or particular guns or whatever, please just get in touch with me. You can always do so by, among other places, just emailing me, but also going to my Facebook page, which is just Larry Weishuhn, and going to the messaging portion there and doing that. Now, we're working on another project right now to particularly take this my podcast to Patreon. And once we do that, then I'll give you that contact information there to where you can get a direct. We're working at trying to get all the benefits put up together. And as we get being a member of the Patreon group there, as far as my podcast is concerned, and once we do that, we'll get you all that information, and it'll be a lot easier, and I get the questions a whole lot quicker than what I would somewhere by more conventional ways. I got another question that came from Matt from West Virginia, and this was what rifle are you using right now? He said, I've seen you use a certain, several Mossbergs and all those kind of things, but in the past I know you shot a lot of Ruger number ones, and I'm kind of paraphrasing some of the things here that he had, and yes, I do. I love Ruger number ones. They're, to me, some of the finest guns out there, the classiest, the most beautiful, and I really enjoy hunting with them. But also, I've been shooting a Mossberg, which is the Patriot, that has had some work done on it, quite frankly. I mean, I love the fact that they're made in Texas, the guns are, by Mossberg down close to Eagle Pass. But the one that I've been shooting a lot here as of late is one that's been customized with had Thunder Valley Precision build me a using a Krieger barrel and using the new Aviant rapid heat release barrels technology. That it's an amazing technology, and we'll try to do a separate podcast. Again, we had Jesse Barrett on not too long ago with a couple of the guys with Jim Bequette, and when we were on a hunt up on the Choctaw Hunting Lodge. And but this particular rifle, it's a 20-inch barrel. It's got a muzzle brake on the front of it rather than a can. And I will tell you that with the Hornady ammo, whether it's the 175 VLDX or the 160 grain CX, shoots extremely accurately with that combination. Now, Thunder Valley Precision does just an absolute fantastic job on everything that they do anyway. And I would strongly suggest, should you be interested and try to learn a little bit more about the Aviant Rapid Barrel Heat Releasing System thing, it's not a carbon barrel. There's ceramics involved. It makes that barrel unbelievably in terms of accuracy. I'm not sure what all magic they do, to be quite frank about it, but we've shot that thing numerous times, and one of the things I like about it is that if you needed to, now I'm one of those that believes in, obviously I've been shooting single shots for a long time, but I'm one who believes in making that very first shot that you'd make at an animal. That's the one you want to make count, and then you want to be ready for a second follow-up shot should it be needed. But with this rapid heat release system, the way that it's set up, we were at the Stealth Vision facility, and my rifle, of course, is covered by a Stealth Vision 3-18 SVT scope. These are the best, a little heavy, but I'll tell you what, those are the best scopes out there for a whole lot of reasons. And I was at their facility, and we were shooting, and thought, well, let's just test this rifle out. So Joe Cunningham, who's the vice president there at Stealth Vision, who works with the primary owner, Dr. John McCall, we ran as fast as we could 17 shots through a PRC, 7mm PRC barrel. Those 17 shots we were shooting at 500 yards, and of course with the turret adjusted to that distance. Those 17 shots were shot as fast as we could, as fast as you could cycle and load, kind of, and pull the trigger. Those shots were within about a 2.5-inch group. Then after those 17 shots, we moved to the target just to the right of it, loaded 3 more. It took a little bit of time. Now, by now, that barrel should have been so hot that it should have been spraying the rifle, those bullets coming out of there. Those 3 shots literally went into the same hole when Joe, who was doing the shooting, kind of concentrated on trying to really make that accurate shot. They went through the exact same hole. So that was 17 7mm PRC Hornady rounds. which can create a lot of heat, particularly when you're shooting that many back to back to back to back to back kind of thing. And by all reason should have gone, been a string up or a string down or of shots, but it didn't. Those 3 shots went into the exact same hole after 17 very quick shots. Now that told me a lot about the barrel, and that was a Thunder Valley barrel Thunder Valley precision barrel that had been put together for us in a 7mm PRC. So that's the barrel mine carries right now. It's a little bit lighter than a conventional barrel. It's 20 inches. Of course, the beauty of the 7mm PRC with almost all the rounds that are available commercially, the difference between it and a longer barrel are about 50 feet per second in terms of velocity. Now, that's that gun, because the scope is a little bit heavier. I've used it a lot. Now, I'm not going to take it to the mountains because I've got another 7mm PRC barrel that I've put together that too is a 20-incher, and a new optic that Stealth Vision is working on, which made that rifle a little bit lighter, and we'll talk about that in the future as well too. But with that particular rifle, I've shot several different things now. With the Thunder Valley 7mm PRC, the Mossberg action, if you will, same stock, and the beauty of something about these Aviant rapid heat release in barrels is that, you know what, it doesn't make a bit of difference whether that barrel is touching the stock in certain places because it doesn't heat up. And so it heats up on the outside, but it does not affect the accuracy. So it looks like, if you look at my rifle, the one I'm addressing here, looks like the worst bedding job that you've ever seen in your life because it touches here, the stock touches there kind of thing. But guess what? It's a one-hole gun at 100 yards. Shot it a lot out to 1,200 yards with that SVT, Stealth Vision scope, 3-18, and with Hornady ammo. And even at 1,200 yards, this thing's unbelievable because I've shot groups that were 5 and 6 inches at that distance. And would I shoot an animal that far? Well, that particular load still has sufficient downrange energy to actually kill an animal that far. But no, my goal is always to get as close as I possibly can before pulling the trigger. I shoot at 1,000 yards and 1,200 yards and 800 yards so that when I crawl within 100 or less yards of that animal, I know that I can precisely place that shot. Those long-range shooting things, to me, build great confidence. But that's shooting. And hunting, to me, is trying to get as close as I possibly can. Now, I have shot some animals a long way off because simply there was no way to get closer. After trying every possible approach, I couldn't get any closer, say, than 500 yards. And finally, I would take that shot because I had confidence in that gun. I knew my capabilities with it, and I knew that I could precisely place that bullet. And I've shot a lot so that I also have some appreciation for wind drift. Spent a lot of time on the FTW years ago when they had guys in for their different courses and helped call wind in many instances. So wind can be a great deterrent for making long-range shots unless you really know what you do. And I noticed that a lot of the guys who previously were really promoting shooting animals out to 1,000 yards now are going, well, probably my long-range shooting at an animal is going to be 500 yards or less. With the guns that we have, and even with wind drift at 500 yards, it can be a little bit. Canting can make a little bit of difference as well, too, of canting that scope. And that's one of the beauties of the SVT Stealth Vision scopes is that they have the anti-cant system with the little light that comes on, the little bubble that comes that you can see at the bottom of the scope. And so, but in most instances, there's really no reason to take a shot even beyond 400 yards. For the most part, that's what I tried to limit myself, is that in years past, I shot a lot at 400 yards, including going way back when I was shooting a 270 Winchester and using a Leopold 3-9 scope. The way that I had it sighted in, that bullet dropped 24 inches at 400 yards. Now, cranked up that 9-power, that Leopold scope between the crosshairs and the top of the beginning of that duplex crosshairs at 400 yards was 24 inches. So shot a lot of clay pigeons, balloons, those kind of things out to 400 yards. And simply what I did there is I knew the exact holdover in that all I had to do is bring that where the little duplex crosshair on the bottom started pinching off, put it where I want that bullet, where I put it right on the target. And guess what? If I paid attention to the wind, or the wind wasn't too bad, I was breaking clay pigeons at 400 yards with a 270. So, and occasionally I would take a shot at that distance with that particular gun and load. And again, those were Hornady bullets a long time ago that I hand loaded. I recall maybe 130 grain interlock or something very similar to that. But so hopefully that's answered some questions. The rifle that I'm shooting right now is a Mossberg. It's got a factory trigger. It goes down to about 2.5 pounds, which is a nice crisp trigger. It's got one of the rapid heat releasing Aviant barrels on it, done for me by Thunder Valley Precision. And so, if you're thinking about, you don't really need to spend an absolute huge fortune. These barrels are properly done, are not that expensive at all for the quality that you're getting. And with the technology becoming more and more available, I know that there are going to be other places beside Thunder Valley Precision, but going with those guys, you cannot go wrong if you want to have one of those barrels done up. So, all that said, we spent about 30 minutes talking here. It is time for me to load up. I'm going up to my lease up on the Red River, which the Red River is our northern border, and see if I can rattle a buck that comes across from Oklahoma, across the Red River onto Texas, and to take him there. And hopefully in the next few days, I'll be able to maybe do a little bit of a bonus episode here to tell you exactly how that hunt went, and hopefully before too very long we'll be able to be on Patreon like we're getting ready to do, and all those other kind of good things. If you're still hunting out there, and there's a lot of great hunting seasons that'll go on, particularly in Texas, until the end of February, you're always welcome to come down here as well too if you don't live in Texas on the managed land permit things. But if you're still hunting, hunt safe, hunt ethically, and have a great time. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here around this campfire next week. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn has also been brought to you by The Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, the Texas Wildlife Association, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hit the road for fun and heartwarming fishing adventures with the Real American Road Trip.
I just want to hook up one time. I just need to hook up one time.
Catch the Waypoint Original Series every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Waypoint TV channel. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.
I did get a bite. I have gotten a bite. I did feel it.